Welcome to the CoinProz Crypto Talk Hour, hosted by Randall Parker Jr. and airing every Wednesday evening from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bringing you up-to-date news, prices, coin information, interviews, contests, giveaways, and much more. Tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. on the Voluntary Virtues Network. Help us take money back from the state. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live episode of the CoinProz Crypto Talk Hour. We're coming to you in the Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. time slot on the Voluntary Virtues Network. I'm your host, Randall Parker Jr. We have an amazing show planned for you guys today. We have Evan Wagner of Counterparty. He's one of the original co-founders of the project. He's going to be on the show. We're going to spend a good deal of the program with him today discussing what Counterparty is, what makes Counterparty special, what differentiates Counterparty from the blockchain, and where the future of cryptocurrency is going right now. Quick rundown: we're going to hit up some prices for you guys just at the top of the program, and then we'll jump right into the good stuff. Okay, we got Bitcoin in the past few days floating around the $650 mark. We have Darkcoin, which is a coin I have my eyes on right now, floating around $11.50 a coin. Litecoin at $11. And Potcoin right now, which is a nice little project coin that I'm taking on, trying to help out. They're sitting around 82 Potcoin per dollar. So just under one Potcoin per penny. So without any further ado, we're going to get to Evan Wagner with Counterparty and our interview today. Stay tuned. All right, we are joined with Evan Wagner of Counterparty. Super excited to have Evan here on the program today. We're going to discuss a bunch of different topics. Evan, say hi.
Hello, how's it going?
It is going well, my friend. It is going well. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So, I want to tell the audience a little bit how we came into contact through a mutual contact that we have at the CoinProz team. It was Chris, I believe, who recommended that I get in touch with you. Or no, I believe it was Tim.
It was Tim, yes.
I'm getting guests from everybody, so I really appreciate it. So you had known Tim. So you'd been talking to Tim probably regarding the CoinProz project, I would imagine.
Yes, absolutely. He was actually interested in Counterparty for a few reasons regarding CoinProz.
Actually, yeah. And we'll get into some of that probably in a further interview down the line.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some things that remain under wraps, but so I want to just kind of get into some of the meat and potatoes. My audience is coming from a libertarian or voluntarist spectrum politically. I know that Counterparty doesn't have any political affiliation, but just in general, I think that my audience, I know that my audience is coming from the perspective of how can cryptocurrency liberate the individual financially and in many ways, and I think that Counterparty takes it to the next level in giving people more than just a decentralized ledger. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Counterparty, so with Bitcoin, really all you can do is sort of you have a decentralized ledger, as you said, and a decentralized payment network. But Counterparty really adds the next level of functionality right on top of Bitcoin. So yes, it's a great step, I would say, in the direction of empowering individuals financially.
Totally. I totally agree. In that same vein, I think a lot of people can get lost in trying to find the distinctions, trying to find what is there, over 600 cryptocurrencies that are publicly out there?
Some absurd number. I mean, on CoinMarketCap there was like 300 a week ago.
Right. I remember back in I guess I want to say November, December of 2013, you could fit it all on one page. There was under 100. There was like
not
60
anymore,
or
not
70.
anymore.
Yeah. I feel like every day I used to go and there would be 4 or 5 new ones. Now it's not even worth, it's just, it's a flood. So that brings us to the point of what sets Counterparty apart. I mean, I know the answer to that, but for the audience's sake, why are you not just another clone of Bitcoin?
Right. So actually, yeah. So as you've sort of mentioned, most altcoins really are just Bitcoin with something slightly different, either some slight difference or other. But Counterparty is really it's an extension of the Bitcoin protocol itself. It's actually built onto Bitcoin. So Counterparty transactions are just Bitcoin transactions, and I mean most coins basically have the same sort of functionality that Bitcoin has. You can send whatever coin it is back and forth, and it's a decentralized ledger, and so on and so forth. But with Counterparty, you can create assets, and you can trade those assets peer-to-peer without having to trust the counterparty. And you can do bets and hedging, again, all peer-to-peer with no counterparty risk whatsoever. So it really is quite an evolution of the functionality in the crypto space.
Well, it certainly does sound that way. That's a lot. That's a mouthful. What you just said. I mean,
yes, yeah, exactly.
I want to go back and circle the wagons a little bit, and try to figure out what all that stuff means. I mean, first of all, you said that it's not just we covered it's not a Bitcoin clone. It's not just a decentralized ledger, but it allows us to trade hard tangible items. I mean, that's the one thing that jumps out when what you just said most to me. That's Counterparty part. That this something that could relate to physical items.
So that's a bit more complicated. I mean, the counterparty assets are, of course, digital. When you create an asset in Counterparty, you're creating a digital asset. That asset may be a proxy token for some physical good, but I mean, the most obvious use case, for example, is like with a company stock or something like that, where it's not only it's not a proxy token, it's the actual token itself, and it itself has value, as opposed to being redeemable for a physical good, and hence having to sort of rely on that connection to the physical world.
Gotcha. So this isn't in any way mandating any kind of physical property, although it may open up some sort of means for that down the line.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean there are some more complicated things that we can go into if you'd like, where it could serve sort of as a good gateway to the physical world. But yeah, but right now you basically leverage Bitcoin's decentralized ledger and the security of the Bitcoin network and build a whole new layer of financial tools on top of Bitcoin.
So, from a technical standpoint, the protocol of Counterparty and the nuts and bolts kind of behind the scenes under the hood is essentially just a Bitcoin platform, just with, would you say, like kind of a few more moves, a few more tools in the toolbox? Is that a good way of putting it, or?
Right. Yeah. I mean, so it is literally on top of Bitcoin. Counterparty transactions store data in Bitcoin transactions, and in storing that data, it provides extra functionality that Bitcoin itself does not have.
I love it. Before the interview, I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to kind of grill you a little bit so I make sure I'm not too ignorant to speak
No
about Counterparty. I said, you know what, it's actually okay because for me and my audience to kind of learn at the same time is not that bad. I know what Counterparty is to an extent, but there's always more to learn for sure. So you said that this is a platform where companies can do their IPOs. They can release stock in their company. So basically, you're creating would you call it a token?
Yeah, I mean, token and asset. I mean, depends on the use case, I guess.
Okay, so look at token or asset. So if I wanted to make, RJ coin, which would be my coin, I could do that on Counterparty, right? I would just allocate a certain amount of Bitcoin, or how would that work? How would I create a coin?
Right. So you just need a very small amount. So Counterparty has a native currency like Bitcoin called XCP, and XCP has special uses within the protocol, which we can discuss if you'd like. But you basically need a small amount of XCP to make an asset in Counterparty, and I mean, as opposed to like Kickstarter or something, where basically, if somebody gave you money for RJ coin, it would basically be only a donation. You can actually pay dividends in Counterparty. So as opposed to just merely a donation to you, it's actually an investment for the person who's investing.
How would it be how would it appreciate in value? I understand it from a rough standpoint, but just for the audience and for my own clarification, what would there have to be just a higher demand for my coin at some point?
Yeah. It's basic supply and demand. If there are really concrete use cases for your token, then the price will go up, and you could accrue. I mean, you yourself could accrue profits and then distribute those profits to whoever holds your token.
So let's say I create a club, let's say, and I say, you know what? If you join my club right now, you get a VIP pass, which is worth 10 tokens, and that's $100 in Bitcoin or whatever. And then if down the line, when we reach a certain amount of VIP members, we're going to close that off, and then in order to get into our club, you have to buy a single token from a VIP member, and that that value could change because they're getting 10 tokens essentially with their membership, and now your membership's going to entail 1 token down the line. So obviously, by setting up a model like that, I'm kind of getting an early in reward for the early adopters. Is that kind of a model that someone might approach?
Yeah, for example, and I mean, you could sell your tokens for Bitcoins, and I mean, like, the more valuable those tokens become with respect to Bitcoin, the more Bitcoins you have, and then you can, if you have profits, you can distribute Bitcoins in, via dividends, in Counterparty. So yeah, I mean, it's very direct. It's just like any sort of situation in which you'd share the profits of your token.
So so it's really not as crazy or complicated as I might have thought, or as everyone else might have thought. It's really kind of just this other layer, right? Another layer to Bitcoin that allows individuals more flexibility in kind of branding their own portion of the blockchain and utilizing it for their own specific purpose, and possibly turning profits for themselves or for the participants in their unique asset class. Right?
Exactly, but I mean, there are some important distinctions, because it's for example, I mean, you have these centralized exchanges in Bitcoin, right? You have like Havelock, for example, and a lot of former exchanges, I guess I'd say, and these exchanges are not very robust, right? I mean, they can be shut down, and then the stock that you've created on Havelock, for example, I mean, it's unclear what happens at that point. Whereas with Counterparty, because everything's on the Bitcoin ledger. You can't really. It's very censorship resistant, so it's not really prone to the same sort of problems that Havelock and other centralized exchanges are. It's a decentralized exchange. It's a decentralized platform. Mm-hmm. That's the really important distinction.
Right. So on the Counterparty platform, is it okay? We're going to get into the actual software implementation in a second, but is it just so it's just Bitcoin, XCP, and any Counterparty asset classes that were created that can be traded, right? It's those.
Yes.
Specific. Okay. And then I noticed when I was trying to install like a wallet or something, some sort of, I didn't know, what I needed to use Counterparty. I was trying to use it the other day for the first time. And is it correct in saying that you don't have a native Mac wallet at the time, at the moment?
Yes, that's true. However, we do have a web wallet which requires no installation whatsoever.
And that's what I went and used. It was pretty easy to set up. It was pretty easy.
Yeah, that's the hope.
No, it was super easy. You get like a 12-word passphrase. Is that how that goes?
Yes.
Okay. So describe the setting up process for someone that might be on multi-platforms and just want to jump on the web wallet.
I mean, it's very easy. So you just say, create new wallet. There's a button that says create new wallet. It gives you a 12-word passphrase, which you should just write down on a piece of paper, store on an encrypted file, encrypted folder or whatever. But definitely don't save it as an RTF file, called password.rtf. And then you just enter that password, then you log into the wallet, and you have the functionality ready for you. So Counterparty wallets are different from other wallets. They're highly secure, for example. So they're actually deterministic wallets, which basically means that all of your addresses, your Bitcoin addresses, are derived from that 12-word passphrase. So that passphrase really is your wallet. It's really the same exact thing as it, and all of your money is sort of derived from that, is contained in that passphrase. So on the one hand, if you lose the passphrase, you lose your money. But on the other hand, it's very hard for somebody. There's no attack vector really, other than just getting your password. For getting your funds. So it's highly secure. It's called a deterministic wallet. And you can actually import funds from a regular wallet that has XCP or BTC or any Counterparty asset, just, again, with the click of a button. And then, the functionality is pretty much ready for you once you've imported your funds.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to get started. So just to clarify for my people, you want to head over to counterwallet.co.
Yes.
Counterwallet.co is the address where you can get started with the web wallet that Evan just mentioned. And from there, all the functionality is kind of built right into that web interface, if I recall correctly. Is that right?
Yes, it's recently become feature complete. So pretty much everything that you can do with the Counterparty command line client, the reference client, you can do with Counter Wallet.
Pretty awesome. All right, I want to get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty. What's being done right now? What are the most exciting use cases? I came to Counterparty. Well, I heard about it for I don't know about 6 months or so. I don't know however long. When did the project start? When did you guys really
So
take the wraps
So the
off
project
it?
started January 2nd, and that was when the XCP was created, from January 2nd to February 2nd.
So it's a 6-month-old little baby. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found out about it probably pretty early on because I think I was a listener to Let's Talk Bitcoin from probably the first episode, and I know LTB Coin is using Counterparty, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So that's a connection right there. Tell me about that project. Were you involved with that, or did you help with them on implementing that?
Yeah, so I've been in contact with Adam Levine, pretty frequently regarding LTB Coin. So I think that he got into our forums around early February, and he was sort of deciding between the platforms, and I guess that Counterparty was the most robust platform, and that's why they made the decision to go with it. LTB Coin's a very interesting project. It's basically an attempt. It's the proprietary coin of the Let's Talk Bitcoin network, and it gives you, for example, discounts on sponsorships, and basically the things that you normally pay for Bitcoins with, for example, with LTB Coin on the Let's Talk Bitcoin show, you can pay with LTB Coin instead.
Awesome. Yeah, and Let's Talk Bitcoin is a great show, and I recommend everybody to go check it out if you haven't heard of it already. Adam Levine and Stephanie Murphy and Andreas Antonopoulos, I believe, are the three hosts of that show, and they're all very seasoned, some more than others, but they all know their Bitcoin very well and crypto very well, and so they came to you at some point, or I guess like you said, Adam was kind of kicking around which one to go with, and obviously, so we got Color Coins, we got Master Coin, we got yourselves, Counterparty, and who am I leaving out?
There's Next and BitShares, but they're rather different use cases.
What about Ethereum? Is that a similar?
Ethereum's kind of a different beast. They're actually, I think they're going to be doing their initialization of balances, the crowdfunding, in about a couple weeks or a month. But they're not really released yet, and that was never really on the table.
Gotcha. Without getting into Ethereum, because that's a whole seriously other beast, like you said, it's seriously like, if you want to call that Bitcoin 3.0 or something, maybe that's a discussion for another day. So Let's Talk Bitcoin did their own coin, LTB Coin. That's an implementation of Counterparty. It's an example of what would you call a smart property asset, right?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. And then you mentioned that there are people using Counterparty for betting. How does that work?
Right. So betting in Counterparty is, it's very unique. It's unprecedented. So usually when you bet, you basically either if you want to, make a certain wager, you either have to give that wager, put it on the table and hope that the counterparty doesn't steal it, or you have to have an escrow agent who holds the funds for the bet until the bet's resolved. In Counterparty, it's quite different. In Counterparty, the software is actually the escrow agent. So when you make a bet, the wager that you've made is immediately debited from your address and held in escrow until your bet is matched with another bet and then resolved. So you don't have to trust anybody, basically, with your funds.
And it's not going into any centralized location. It's not going.
No. It's held in. It's the software. So it's a decentralized escrow system and a decentralized clearinghouse. There's really never been anything like it before.
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually sounds pretty incredible to me. That actually sounds like, I guess I didn't even know that Counterparty had that function built in.
Well, so until quite recently, it was only available through the command line client. But there are actually a couple of really interesting projects coming up that are making websites for this peer-to-peer betting. Like there's a site called xbet.io, and they are, of course, right now the World Cup is coming up, and so they're making a site where it's very easy to construct a bet with xbet.io on the outcome of World Cup games.
Do you know where they're based? Do you know what nation they're based in?
I think they're based in Israel.
Have you found? Do you know if Israel is a particularly fond of crypto climate, or no? I imagine they kind of lean towards the United States stance on it, right?
So Israel actually has a very active crypto community, very very active. Okay. I'd say, yeah, definitely. And indeed, like a lot of people in the Counterparty community are from Israel, um, and they're very active.
See, that I did not know. Okay, very interesting. Is there a reason for that, like geographically or social?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't really tell you. I mean, they're very tech. I mean, it's a very tech savvy country on the whole, and that certainly helps. But I don't really know more, outside of that.
So in a sense, Counterparty enables me to bet somebody in another country $50 that X, Y, and Z will happen. Maybe with the help of a little bit of a interface on top of it, but it enables individuals to bet one another on different things across the rest of the world, across the world, without any exchange, without having to go to Bodog or this site or that site and trust. And plus, I mean, are you taking a rake on your bet? I mean, I'm sure the sites that build off of your platform take a rake, but could I theoretically implement my own little gambling ring on Counterparty with my
course.
buddies?
Yeah. So of course, the thing you're betting on, there's data that you're betting on. There's a value that you're expecting, and somebody has to give you that data. So we call that person a feed operator, and the feed operator gets to specify the amount of a bet that he takes. It's much more flexible. I mean, it's a very, very flexible process, and it really, it embraces the free market because there will be, price discovery as to how much it takes or how much the feed operator wants to take of the bet. But currently, I would say that process is really just beginning.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, the free market, in my belief, will drive prices down on any new good or service. Right now, there might be a margin to make based on the precedent that most gambling sites or bookies are going to charge you a pretty high percentage just to place a bet, win or lose. So the house gets covered. So Counterparty doesn't really have to cover the house, and anybody that builds off of that using, I guess, APIs or tying into the Counterparty protocol or Bitcoin protocol, they're just using what's open source and there for them to use. What other projects are going on, Evan? I know we could talk a little bit about Tatiana Coin. It's kind of a little bit like Let's Talk Bitcoin, LTB Coin. It's just a crowdfunded project to help promote a brand. But I want to talk about different, not more exciting, but just different, more kind of worldwide access type of projects. You mentioned Vend and Swarm. I mean, tell me about those two.
Sure. So I guess I should start with Vend just because it's sort of it's kind of the project that Swarm uses.
And that's
to really
two ends. Just for
yes,
the audience.
it's two ends. It's kind of a math pun that maybe not everybody will appreciate. But yeah. So Vend with two ends is basically, it is what it sounds like. It's a digital vending machine. So the idea is that it really came out of it came out of one sort of idea that a community member had. The community member's name was Jeremy Lamb, and it was the basic idea is to basically simplify the process of crowdfunding on Counterparty. So instead of having to use the decentralized exchange in Counterparty, you can use Vend. And so what Vend does is there's a vending address, and when let's say one Bitcoin is sent to that address, the vending you're automatically vended out some other asset to the address from which you sent the Bitcoin. So it really is just a digital vending machine. It takes in inputs and it spits out outputs.
I think that when this really gets split wide open is when we have like solar powered, autonomous drones that we could all 3D print out for $20 or $30 worth of material, and we can have like a decentralized Amazon or eBay to where I sell something and I put it in a little container and snap it to my drone and it goes off to your house and drops it off. And part of the transaction, you get the drone ID and you get the GPS coordinates so you can see it leaving and traveling towards you, and you can have the wallet paying increasingly more currency as the device gets closer, or you can have it paying it into an escrow account built into the software protocol, and when it arrives and you detach the package from the drone and take it out and click verify or send a token, this is, you're building, I believe, you're building the DNA for the beast that will shake off pretty much all the centralized aggressive institutions that I think are out to exclude people from the financial world and exclude people from, first world productivity. I don't ask you to agree to that from the stand of Counterparty, but do you see your project as something that could liberate?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that it's Counterparty really is a very radical technology. It really brings a lot of power to individuals. The use case that you were just describing was smart property. Sort of a physical object that watches the blockchain and acts sort of accordingly. That has actually not been implemented yet in the real world, but when it is, it'll be very exciting, and indeed it'll be a very important move forward for individuals. But yeah, Vend is a really powerful technology because it takes a really simple idea, that of a vending machine, and it has a very general application. So now if you want to let's say take part in a Counterparty crowdfund, you don't even need to use Counterparty software. All you need to know how to do is send a Bitcoin, or make a Bitcoin transaction.
Insofar as Vend does the rest of the work for you, is what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. So it will simply send back the asset, to the address that you sent the Bitcoin from. So you don't even need to use Counter Wallet. You can just use a regular Bitcoin wallet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how does Vend get involved? I mean, is it a plugin, or is it a software? Is it a wallet? Like, how does it interfere? How does it get involed? I missed that.
So you set up a vending machine, and you specify the vending machine to take certain inputs and to give certain outputs. So you can specify the vending machine, for example, to take in Bitcoins and to spit out XCP. That's a very very obvious use case. And so so if you want to do a crowdfunding, you can just set up a vending machine that does the crowdfunding for you, basically. It'll really just do all the hard work for you, and it's a very good accounting system. It's a very good distribution system.
So when you say vending machine, you're talking about a physical piece of hardware?
No, a digital vending machine.
Okay, I thought so, but you said vending machine with the word digital, and then you said it without. I said, wait, do I need an actual device here?
Sorry, yeah, I should have been more specific, but yes, a digital vending machine that takes in digital assets and spits out digital assets.
So it just basically kind of takes Counterparty and makes it a little bit more user friendly and touch and go, kind of, right?
Yeah, and it does provide, I would say, new functionality. I mean, you can crowdfund with the decentralized exchange, but it's much more sort of in the vein of Kickstarter or what have you. If you use Vend, it's much more familiar to people, and it's much more. It actually is, I would say, a new kind of technology.
Yeah, and now CoinProz.com, or is it .com or .co? I think it's .com.
I think it's .com.
Yeah, they're doing. Is that a similar maneuver, or maybe without the tech on top of it?
So CoinProz is indeed helping people do crowdfunding. I actually am not entirely sure whether they're using Vend for that. I think they may be. But Swarm is also using Vend. And yeah, indeed. I mean, I would say that most people who want to raise funds are using Vend in the near term, just because it's such an easy way of doing crowdfunding.
So just for the listener, just to kind of give you guys a TLDR so far, we're going to jump to a quick break in a second, and then we're going to finish off with a few more minutes with Evan. But so Counterparty is a decentralized asset ledger, just like Bitcoin, but it also has more functionality. It enables individuals or institutions to create their own asset types and to exchange them. And it has a lot of, I guess, potential that's starting to be opened up with some projects, including xbet.io for counterparty betting, and Vend, as well as projects like Swarm. And what I want to do is I want to head to a quick break, and then when I come back, I want to ask Evan a little bit more general stuff about where he sees cryptography going and where he sees Counterparty, maybe a year from now. All right, we'll be right back after this short break. Okay, we're back. All right, we're back with Evan, and we are discussing Counterparty right now on the CoinProz Crypto Talk Hour on the Voluntary Virtues Network. Evan and I had discussed different applications of the Counterparty, or different evolutions of the Counterparty platform, or use cases, and I guess you could say software layers that are being built around it, projects that are being built around it. We left off on Vend and Swarm. We didn't get too much into Swarm. What is Swarm, and how does Swarm use Vend? Where does that play in?
Right. So Swarm basically will help people crowdfund. They'll do your marketing. They'll set up your vending machine, and they'll really give you sort of first class service in doing your crowdfunding. And the unique thing about Swarm is that they have a coin. They have a coin called Swarm Coin, and anybody who holds Swarm Coin gets an equity stake in every project that's built on using the Swarm platform. And so, as opposed to Kickstarter, where you basically just give somebody money, and then you maybe get a T-shirt in exchange for that money, you actually get an equity stake in every project that's built with Swarm.
That's incredible. I actually want to run over to Swarm right now. How do I get Swarm? Is it swarm.com or swarm.co?
It's swarmcorp.com.
SWARMCORP.com. Swarmcorp.com sounds cool. I mean, I'm going to check this out because, like you said, it takes something really kind of convoluted and crazy, which if you think about the blockchain in the first place, it's a mind fuck. It's a polite gentleman's show, but it is a mind F. I mean, it blows my mind. Just the fact that someone could have envisioned and implemented this type of a system in a network, and that it didn't trip over its own 2 feet getting off the ground, and it inspired countless others to come follow in its footsteps and improve upon and enhance upon the original genius that was the blockchain. Was the Bitcoin white paper. So Swarm, to me, it sounds like it's, like you said, it's a Kickstarter, or it's the easy kind of do it all site that lets the layperson jump right into the power of Counterparty and the blockchain.
Yeah, and moreover, it gives investors in these crowdfunded projects sort of a motivation to give them money, as opposed to just making it a charity thing.
Right. So it's like if you're the type of person that has maybe some assets, and you say, you know what, I did well in Bitcoin, or I have this savings that I've done in cryptocurrency that's appreciated. I want to do a little giving back. I want to help the community. I want to also invest and possibly make more. So if you're smart and you got, let's say, 1,000 or 100 or even 50 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin or something sitting around that you're not doing anything with, or you're hoping will appreciate, you can run over to Swarm Corp. Swarm. That's a weird word.
Swarm.
Yeah. You can head over to swarmcorp.com, and just buying the Swarm coin itself, it's almost like you can put 10% of your assets in the Swarm coin and say, I'm going to use that as kind of like my money market until I find projects I want to invest in, and then I can move from Swarm coin into the individual project.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a very trivial way to diversify your portfolio. Yeah. It's a really good idea, and it's sort of surprising, right, that people just give money to these Kickstarter projects like Oculus Rift. I guess they got $2 million in Kickstarter funds, and they sold for $2 billion to Facebook. And what people who invested in the people who donated to the Oculus Rift got in exchange was a T-shirt or something. Not part of that 1,000x profit.
Absolutely right. So I guess what's gonna blow everyone's mind is the first project that starts out on one of these platforms, on Counterparty or Swarm or whatever, and people are able to put in $5 or $10 worth of their Bitcoin, and wake up a year and a half later and find out they have $500 or $1,000 and go, oh my god, like I invested in this startup, and it can be bigger than that, because I think that without the question of where and how much and whether or not governments and institutions will be able to regulate or impede upon cryptocurrency is a talk for another day. But I certainly don't personally see the feasibility based on the decentralized nature of a blockchain. I don't see the feasibility for any third party to manipulate it outside of just, putting restrictions on other aspects. Like, I don't know, like exchange, specifically like opening bank accounts or something. But the whole world isn't going to be hostile towards cryptography and the future of money. And I don't even think America is trying to be. I think they're trying to remain as neutral as possible, while deep down knowing that Bitcoin and cryptography pose a threat to the traditional model. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I would say that I agree. I think that the U.S. regulation has been pretty reasonable so far. But I think that going forward, right now, where the regulation is happening is when you're trying to get to fiat, right? I mean, that's so you like whether a Bitcoin exchange can open up a bank account in the U.S., for example, it's very difficult, or near impossible. But with Counterparty, we're really trying to make it a complete financial ecosystem within the protocol itself, so that when you first get Bitcoins, your first question isn't how can I get to dollars or how can I get to euros. It's rather how can I spend these Bitcoins or these with XCP or user created assets within the ecosystem itself. We're trying to make a much more robust, complete, and most importantly, self-contained environment. That way, you're not constantly facing the regulatory problems when trying to get to fiat.
Right, and I think that's kind of what I'm suggesting is that it's almost like who's holding the bag, right? So when it comes down to the government trying to tax somebody on a windfall or on an appreciation, I mean, really what an appreciation is from an economic standpoint is you're just creating utility. You're just creating efficiency in a system. That's all. I mean, if I make money, it means because I simplified the lives of other people in some way.
Sure.
So, I mean, the government is proposing that they deserve a percentage or a piece of every utilization of simplicity or of efficiency in their geographic area, and that's whatever. I don't agree to that, but that's their position. But what I think Counterparty and other projects like it do is they say to these institutions like, okay, well, how are you going to physically? It's not just us. Like, it's not like you have to come to the Counterparty headquarters and knock on the door and say, we're going to take all of the profits, let us plug into your computer and download the currency. It's not that simple. It's a blockchain, so it's not in your hard drive. They can't knock on the door and seize your computers and take everyone's stuff.
Yeah, it's completely decentralized, and moreover, we've actually never taken anybody's money. Even when XCP was created, we actually did proof of burn, where people destroyed bitcoins during XCP, as opposed to other projects, which, for example, like Mastercoin, people sent funds to bitcoins to a particular address and got Mastercoins in return, a particular address that somebody had control of. Whereas when Counterparty, people sent XCP bitcoins to an address that nobody controlled and got XCP in return. So it's really been quite decentralized from the very beginning, and that's been our philosophy, sort of, from the start.
It's really awesome. Evan, I know that you have another obligation coming up in a few minutes that you have to get to, and due to my technical difficulties, I am a little bit short on Evan time today. I want to thank you explicitly for coming. I want to really let you know that I know that myself and the audience have definitely gained from what we discussed today, and just understanding, because where cryptography and where cryptocurrency is going is so fluid, and to just get locked into Bitcoin and Litecoin and Doge is probably like just watching 3 channels on your TV or going to 3 websites on your computer. But I definitely want to have you back. I think that there's no way we could cover everything in one show.
I agree. Yeah, I'd be very happy to come back. And
the audience is going to grow. I mean, this network is blowing up. When we started 2 weeks ago, we had 0 subscribers. We had 0 fans on our Facebook page. We have over 1,000 likes on our Facebook page. We have over 220 subscribers on our YouTube page. We have over 70 videos just 1 weekend on our channel live with anywhere from 40 or 50 views up to some of them have close to 1,000 already. So it's a super huge opportunity to be on the Voluntary Virtues Network and to have this chance to do a whole show based on cryptography, and to have CoinProz as a sponsor out of the gate is huge, because we're going to be getting guests like you all the time who are just trying to get out there and promote your coin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just trying to spread awareness, and having the opportunity to come on a show that has a growing user base is really great.
Absolutely, and we're going to do everything we can to get behind Counterparty. I think it is now my new favorite Bitcoin 2.0 application, because what you said about the burn and stuff too. It shows the trustworthiness, and at some point there's going to be a handoff between centralization and decentralization, and the party that does that is a party that you have to trust. whether it's an exchange, whether it's a coin developer, or whether it's a 2.0 application like Counterparty. So Evan, before we go, is there anything else you wanted to say to the community? Anything else you want to promote or put out there?
I mean, I just want everybody to check out counterparty.co and sort of see what it's all about, and see how you can get involved. I mean, going forward, crowdfunding and peer-to-peer betting and peer-to-peer derivatives. I mean, it's really a great opportunity for individuals to take some power back. And I mean, yeah, it really is it's a community-driven project, and we want to see the community grow.
Are you guys on any other platforms, Twitter or Reddit?
Yeah, yes, of course. Sorry, we're at Twitter. We're at CounterpartyXCP on Twitter. Reddit, we're Counterparty_XCP, and then we have a very active Bitcoin talk thread as well. And if you want to buy some XCP, you can go to bidder.com, that is BTER.com, or poloniex.com. And yeah, I mean, just check it out and see what we're doing.
I think people will, and I encourage everyone to go do so. And I'm gonna be getting more into it myself. I'm gonna be checking out Swarm and xbet.io. Probably lose a little bit of Bitcoin there, but it'll be fun. And Evan, I really want to thank you again for coming on the show, and I really do look forward to having you again back in the future.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Good luck. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Well, that's it, guys. That sums up another episode of the CoinProz Crypto Talk Hour. We couldn't have done it without you, the viewer / listener. We couldn't have done it without our amazing sponsor, CoinProz, and we definitely couldn't have done it without our amazing guest, Evan. Thank you so much to everybody that made it to the show today, anybody that shares the links, and anybody that gets involved on social media and helps out the Voluntary Virtues Network. We love you guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for getting behind us. You can follow CoinProz, this program. You can follow us on Twitter. We're going to be tweeting at the handle CoinProz Team. It's actually going to be... that's a Twitter handle that I manage through CoinProz, but it's going to be actually a dual purpose. We're going to promote the show here as well. We're going to promote a lot of other things regarding CoinProz, regarding the site, and a whole lot more in cryptocurrency. So stay tuned. Come back next week, Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Voluntary Virtues Network. Don't miss it. Thank you so much. This is your host, Randall Parker Jr., and I'm signing off. Take it easy, guys. Till next week.